Hello, 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 everybody. Welcome, Christina.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Welcome to the first episode of Go Live for 2026.
Yeah.
It's exciting.
Very exciting. And
So,
some new music,
Some
too.
new music,
A new
too,
tune
as
for us.
well. I know. We've
Love
had, the biggest request that we've had is somebody said, please change the music. They've been hearing it for the last 5 years.
Well, clearly they've been tuning in a lot if it needs to be updated.
I know, right. And this new time, we're at 1 o'clock now, where
Yes.
for the last 5 years, we're at 3 o'clock. And as a just kind of a down memory lane, you know, all of this started during COVID, if you remember that, right?
I remember that giant conference room that you took over, and look how far we've come.
We put together some like Home Depot lights and a webcam, and we just decided to go live on March 18th, 2020. And we did it because at that time, you know, the governor had just shut down California, and our president at that time was like, we got to communicate outwardly. And I think we all put our head together and was like, we can't just do email.
No.
We've got to do something different. And I'll never forget, we're sitting there and we're brainstorming, and I said, you know, we have this thing called Zoom that nobody ever uses, and I think we've got a webcam, and if we've got a laptop, and like I think somehow we can send a message out, and blah, 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 and Mary Lee at the time says, go for it.
Let's do it.
Let's figure it out.
Now we're on Zoom every day.
And now we're on Zoom all day long, every day, sometimes too much, right? Welcome to 2026. Thanks, guys, for tuning in. And for those of you that might be listening from your car, I know some of you are on Caravan, especially in the LA area. Please drive carefully and take good care of yourself. Brent is in meetings. He's in 2026 planning meetings at Home Services of America with all of our wonderful leaders there. So he sends his best, and we'll see you here in a couple of weeks. So we have a great person, a stand-in person for Brent, and that is the wonderful Christina Collignon, who is the newly minted Director of Marketing.
Yep, excited to be here.
Yay!
You know, I started coming in on Tuesdays to take behind-the-scenes content, and somehow I found myself as the content a few times. But I'm happy to be here, happy to join you.
Right? So that's great. Well, we've got a really special guest here today, and I've had the opportunity of working with him on the national call and the national product that we put out every Friday called the Quick Win Collective. His name is Jimmy Mackin, and we're going to bring him on in just a second. But I have to tell you, Christina, and I know you've heard him because I know you've heard our Friday calls. He is amazing. He is just a fantastic marketing brain. And I met him a long time ago, but we'll get into that in just a second. So it's been awesome to see his journey and what he's contributed to the industry. So I'm really excited for you guys to hear from him in just a second. But before we do, we've got a couple of announcements for everyone. Oh, and by the way, we're also live on YouTube.
Yes, we are.
Yay!
Yay.
So for those of you that are new here, actually, even if you're not new here, today is the first day that we also start simulcasting, I guess that's how you say it, right? Streaming also live to YouTube. So we've created a channel, and you'll be able to watch all of the recordings over there on our Go Live YouTube channel as well. All right, so let's jump into a few announcements really quickly so we can get to Jimmy. And there we are. All right, so for those of you that still may need healthcare coverage, the open enrollment will close on Thursday. Okay, so if you haven't taken care of that, this is your last couple of days to be able to jump onto that. You know, as a large company, Home Services of America, we have the ability to group everybody together so the agents can come together for a group plan, which is less expensive than just kind of out in the open market. And with all the changes that are happening in healthcare right now, you may want to take a look at this, okay? So just be aware, got a couple more days for that open enrollment, so take advantage of it if you haven't already. All right, next slide.
Next, I'm excited to share our first initiative for Impact Council. For those of you who don't know, I'm a member of our Impact Council. As Chris Friesen likes to say, we are a small but mighty group, although we are accepting new members. So if you're interested, feel free to reach out to me or any other Impact Council member, impact@bhhscal.com. But our first initiative of the year, we did this last year, or end of 2024 really, during the holiday season, is Operation Gratitude. We're going to be sending care packages to our troops. You can get the following items: socks, dental floss, toothbrushes, Slim Jims. Bring them into your office. You'll have American flag bags there that you can drop them all in. Get those to your office by January 23rd, and then that following Monday, those will be shipped to your region's hub office so that we can get those care packages shipped out. So feel free to bring those into your offices. Again, if you have any questions, you can reach out to me or any of your Impact Council members. And what I'm also excited to share is that for the second year in a row, our Impact Council won first place in the Home Services of America Diversity Champion Award. So there's some of our Impact Council members. This is largely due to a lot of the events that we hosted last year, and largely thanks to all of you who participate in those events and help them be so impactful, as is our name, the Impact Council. So we're looking forward to doing a lot more events this year. We'll be sending out communications. You can look for emails from the Impact Council. You can also follow us on Facebook and Instagram. And we'll be sending out marketing materials. Right now on Design Studio, you have a flyer and social media images that you can add your photo and your contact info if you'd like to share it with your sphere and get more donations from your sphere. But I'm very excited and very proud of our very small council and the impact that we've made. But again, if you're interested in joining us, please reach out. We're accepting applications right now.
You guys are doing fantastic work, so thank you so much.
It's fun work too.
I appreciate that.
And then before we move on, I think we wanted to talk a little bit about AI.
Yes.
And the AB 723 law.
Yeah, and so that is the digital altered image
Right.
here in California, right?
Yep.
And so this only applies to California, and this is the Assembly bill that passed last year and is now in effect. And that is where any altered image, so it's not even necessary, well, it mostly has to do with AI, but if you are going to alter your listing images significantly beyond the color corrections and lighting up a photo, things like that, if you're going to make any AI changes, add staging,
Update the floor plan.
yeah, change the kitchen
the
so that
cabinets.
the people can see what it would look like if the kitchen was updated. What you have to do is you have to make the unedited photos available, both online and on your flyers. Meaning, so on your flyers, you can use the images that are altered, but you have to make a link or like a QR code if you were to put it on a flyer, and you scan that, and it would take you to the unedited photos, right? And so, welcome to California. We've got lots of regulation here, and this is yet just another one. Each of your MLSs is handling this a little bit differently. Some of your MLSs are allowing you to just upload the unaltered images to the array of images that you already have on there. Others are creating a very specific spot for you to put a URL, so that way that active URL, somebody can click on it and go to the unaltered images. So keep all that in mind. Make sure you're attending any classes or any information sessions at your local MLS, because it applies to your local MLS, and we're members of 11 in our footprint. So
Yes.
they're all gonna have their little nuance, okay? So make sure you're tuning in for that. All right, let's jump in. Let's get right to Jimmy Mackin. So let's bring up Jimmy if you could, Christina. I'm sure he's in there somewhere. How are you, Jim? There he is.
Hey everybody. So by the way, when you talk about this new law that California just passed, I'm reminded of this famous Reddit. I'll drop the link in the chat so everyone can see it here.
Yeah.
This famous Reddit thread where an agent modified. Okay, get this. You guys can pull this up and just follow along here. They
Yep.
modified the photo, right? Where it's like they added the color correction, they added the sun, but they got roasted online because they removed one really important piece, which is there was like industry grade power lines behind the house. They just
Yeah.
they just photoshopped out of that
Oh my
house.
gosh.
So I think this is the reason why they have that law in California exists, dude.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, well, it is what it is. And, California their goal really is to protect the consumer, right? They want the
Sure,
consumer
sure.
to be informed. And so if that means extra work for us because we're all great practitioners, we're willing to do it, right? Like
Well, it
Yes,
protects the
that's
consumer, but
exactly
it
it.
also protects the agents too.
this is
So,
true. Yeah, absolutely. Jimmy, so good to see you again, my brother. Thank you so much. I don't know if you remember this, but you and I met in 2012, I think.
Okay. Okay.
And
That was pre-beard for me.
that was pre-beard, you guys. And I wish I wish we would have snapped a photo. I was consulting with a company, another brand that Home Services had, Real Living at the time. And you came to San Diego and Carlsbad specifically to speak at one of the franchisees at Real Living, you and Chris at that time. And I was just coming off of working for Mike. And we met then, and you guys did a fantastic job. And, that was kind of the beginning, well, kind of near the beginning of these amazing things that you guys have been doing since then.
Yeah, well, I actually do remember that event because it's the first time. 'Cause for those of you who don't know, I live in Boston, Mass, in the North End, but I'm from a small state called New Hampshire, which is about as far away from San Diego as you possibly can get. So it was my
Yes.
first time in San Diego, my first time in the West Coast about 13 years ago, and that was an incredible experience. And what's interesting about that is that, part of the reason why I think I've been able to help agents grow their businesses and help agents get results. Because I've spent an extraordinary amount of time on the road. Last year, I went to I think around 40, 42 cities.
Wow.
It was a lot of Delta Airlines, Cobb salads, and Marriotts. Right? I mean, it was a lot of that. And I could tell you, I've been doing that for now over 15 years. I could tell you that type of experience, having a chance to connect with agents all across the country, hear about their businesses, hear about the challenges, hear about the things they're excited about, hear about their wins, their failures, has really helped shape the advice and training I provide. And so for today, I'm hoping that we can kind of maybe distill down a few of those learnings and give this audience and this community some insight that can actually help them get business. Because if you don't know, that's what I focus on, which is helping people make money. That's my goal, is helping more agents
Yeah.
who are good at what they do become more successful in their businesses.
And what I love with your the product now that's been out for, what is it, a couple of years now, your listing leads.
Yeah, we're coming up on 18 months of existence now, which is
Yeah, and I
we're
have
coming
to
up on
tell you,
2-year
man,
anniversary.
it
Yeah.
is, in my opinion, one of the best go-to spots for agents to be productive right now. Like when I subscribed to it and I logged in, I went in and the very first thing I saw there is like, oh, this is actionable stuff right here, right now, and I could do it right then and there, right? And what I love about it is that you're really specific about say this, right? Say this and kind of wait for them to respond. So let's jump into it. What are 10 things right now that you're telling agents across the country? Because on our Friday call, man, you're speaking to thousands of agents
Sure.
and you're on these types of calls all day long. What are 10 scripts, 10 dialogues, text messages, emails that our agents should be sending right now?
Yeah, well, let me provide some context. I think I can give you a handful of these ideas, and we'll workshop together some variations of this. So I think that there's an important lesson that we all have to realize is that if we don't control the narrative, somebody else will.
Yep.
And right now in real estate, we as agents, we as professional practitioners in the space need to make it our primary responsibility to be the people that are communicating with our customers and our prospects. Because if you go to the headlines, and you guys can let us know in the chat right now, if you read the headlines on the real estate headlines right now, the national news, is it positive or negative? Let me know in the chat right now, is it positive or negative? You're on YouTube right now streaming, just drop in the comments. Is it positive or negative? Because what I see, what I read, because I read CNBC, I read the Wall Street Journal, I read the Financial Times, I read anything that's about what's happening in the real estate market. It is almost categorically negative. And that is in some instances that's it's true. There are some challenges with the market, but positive news does not make headlines. And so our job is not to defend the market. The market doesn't have any feelings, but our job is to provide perspective. Our job is to provide context. As an example, I was on a live stream actually yesterday with David Childers from Keeping Current Matters, and he said, Jimmy, today, 1 year ago today, interest rates were 7.29%, which translates to about that means if you were to buy a house today compared to last year, it's about $360 a month less expensive for the average house in the United States. California is probably about $800. Okay, so you're not going to read that in any CNBC article about the housing market. It's all about the affordability, about inventory, about iBuying, about corporations buying all these houses. You're not going to read the fact that actually right now in California, houses are probably about $600 to $800 less expensive on average compared to where they were 12 months ago. Now, when you factor in, let's call it flat prices or in some areas declining prices, houses have you now as a consumer have a lot more purchasing power. You have a lot more affordability than you did 12 months ago. So this is why I say part of our job, if we don't control the narrative somebody else is, part of our job with scripting, part of our job with sales and conversion is to put ourselves in a position where we are the arbiter of information. We do distill the information down in a clear and compelling way. And I'm going to leave you with a quote here before we break down strategies, which is good communication doesn't try to convince anyone to do anything. Rather, it removes the friction in making a decision. That's the way we think about it, okay? So that. Good communication isn't trying to, I'm not trying to convince Christina to buy a house or sell a house. That's not, no, I'm just trying to remove all of the uncertainty, all of the confusion, all the fogginess in her mind so that she can make an informed and clear decision. Our job is not to convince anybody to do anything. Rather, it's to remove the friction in their mind to make a decision. And so when you understand that, then you're not going to be saying, now's a great time to buy. Now is a great time to sell. Those messages come off as aggressive, cheesy, and they put us in a position where it actually lowers our status in the mind of the consumer. And think about like anybody who's listening to this live show right now, like, do you like to be hard sold on anything? No. Of course not. I mean, like, we're professional salespeople. We appreciate when someone takes the time to do it the right way. So before I get to the scripts, let me, I wrote a couple of notes down before today's session because I think there's some key insight that I want you to remember. Because we'll cover a bunch of ideas, a bunch of things you can do right now. To be clear, things you can do literally right now. But there are 3 ingredients that we use when it comes to developing scripting. Now, I think you guys know that we wrote this book called, maybe we could drop the link in the chat, Exactly What to Say for Real Estate Agents. Yep. So we wrote this book now. I think we just celebrated our 5-year anniversary. The book has now sold about 250,000 copies worldwide, which is, I mean, incredible. Fantastic. Incredible. It's incredible. I mean, from if you guys can see the humble beginnings of that book into what it actually became is pretty remarkable. But in that book, we try to use frameworks to help take complex ideas and make them simple. So let's give you a framework for scripting, because scripting is something that is personal to you. Your brand voice. It is personal to your market. It is personal to what's actually happening right now in the world. And so there's 3 ingredients that I use to develop scripts for listingleads.com. Number 1, and this is maybe the 3 most important words in sales when it comes to prospecting, bring something new. So if I'm going to reach out to anybody about anything, Christina, I'm following up with about you to see if you're thinking about selling your house, I'm going to bring you something new. And I'll give you some more concrete examples of that in a second. Number 2 is I raise the stakes. What do I mean by that? I mean that I'm trying to answer the question in the mind of the consumer, why now? Why should I care about this thing right now? Why is this important right now? How does this impact me right now? So when I think about the communication strategy, I'm trying to, A, bring them something new. So it's interesting, so it's novel, so it's exciting, so informative. Then I'm also trying to make sure I raise the stakes. So I'm trying to increase the urgency behind the message. Why is this important right now? And then finally, number three is in any conversation, whether I'm prospecting through text, through email, through cold calling, through door knocking, through direct mail campaigns, even advertising for that matter, I try to make the first step, which is usually a very big step, into a small step. And so this is an important concept. I'm trying to get some momentum in the conversation. So if I were to ask Christina, hey, Christina, are you thinking about selling your house? Christina, is selling your house a small decision or is it a big decision
It's a
for
pretty big
most consumers?
decision.
It's a pretty big decision. And so if me putting that type of pressure on you to make a decision adds a lot of friction to the sales process. It adds a
Absolutely.
lot of friction to it, right? So before we get into scripting, I think the things I want you to write down, the three ingredients I want your audience to write down is number one, bring something new.
Bring
Number
something.
two, raise the stakes. And number three, make the first step a small step. And let me give you an example of this. There's two kind of levers I pull. And these two levers, anybody can do this to create an unlimited amount of high quality scripts. There's two kind of, I would call tools you have in your toolbox. It's stats and stories.
Stats and
So
stories.
stats and stories. I mean, so stats. Uh, Sam, what did interest rates hit on Friday? What was
Yeah,
the number?
just a hair above 6.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that was on Monday. What was on Friday? Did we have
Oh,
interest rates on
um,
Friday? It hit 5.99, right?
5.99. Right.
Right? You're right. It's already past that now, but
Yep.
that's a stat. That's a stat. Do you guys know that in the chat? Let us know. Like, do you know how much they're predicting? Thank you, Ali. Do you know how much they're predicting? How many more transactions we're going to see in 2026 compared to last year? Have you seen this data yet?
Yeah, we were just, so Yoon, right, from the National Association of Realtors said approximately 14% more
Yep,
homes, right?
that's correct. Yeah, so best estimates are about 10 to 14% more.
Yep.
That's a stat. That's a stat. I just gave you one. Home pay average mortgage payment is $360 less expensive than it was a year ago. That's a stat. We just saw. So this is an example of like these are all the raw ingredients that we're going to form into a conversation.
Right.
Stories are things that are really more narrative based. So as an example might be everyone saw the news that the president, as an example, put themselves in a position where they're saying we're not going to let corporations buy homes anymore.
Right.
Okay, that's a news story. Now we all in real estate understand that for the vast majority of markets, it's going to have no impact
That's
because
right.
data says that about 0.03% of all homes are bought by iBuyers, right? Institutional buyers. There are certain markets like Phoenix, like Atlanta, like Raleigh, where there is a significant number, a 10-20% number of homes being purchased by institutional buyers. But for the vast majority of markets, it's going to have no impact. Well, that's a story that they're reading in the news that can become part of your communication strategies. But it doesn't have to be something big like that. It could be something like Christina, you just held an open house last week and you had 13 people come through. Okay? That's a story. Hey, I just got off a call with a seller who's thinking about making a move right now. And the really interesting thing is this house has not been on the market ever. They built the house 35 years ago. This is the first time the home's ever going to be on the market. That's a story, right? I just talked to a buyer right now who put in an offer and was able to get 15% below the list price. That's a story. So it can be based on the market, it could be based on your business, it could be based on what's happening in national news. But these are ingredients that are going to help you create better conversations. So just to recap before we move forward here, when I think about good communication does not try to convince, it just removes the friction involved in making a decision. The three levers and tools we have right now: bring something new, raise the stakes, make the first step a small step. And then the raw ingredients that kind of create that trigger, because you need that trigger in marketing, is going to be stats and stories. Things happening with the market, things happening in the sort of narrative around real estate. So saying all of that, why don't we go over some scripts? right? Because now that you have that context, why don't we go over subscriptions? I think we could probably go over because I think we go over all 10 probably a little bit overwhelming. Why don't we go through 5 a little bit slower,
Okay.
and then go a little deeper on this, and I can give you variation, so you can see how we can mix this up.
Absolutely.
Let me go ahead and share my screen, and why don't we take this as an example? Okay, so this is the end of summer text. Now this is a script that you can literally use every season. End of summer, end of fall, end of winter, end of spring. And I'm going to scroll down for a second so you can see this. So, hey, Tom, a lot of my clients took the summer off from thinking about real estate. Now that we're into September, I'm starting to have more conversations. Any plans you think I should know about? Now, this is a text script. So, like, if I were to modify this script, I would say, hey, Christina, a lot of my clients took the holidays off from thinking about real estate. You with me?
Yes.
Now that we're into January, I'm starting to have a lot more conversations. Any plans you think I should know about? Now, this is an easy to answer open-ended question designed to do one thing, which is start a conversation. Because the thing that I know about real estate, and I'm gonna pause this so you guys can all just take a screenshot of this as a listing lead script. You can use this for the spring, the summer, the fall, the winter. And I mean, you can send this out to 50 to 100 people every day for a week to fill your pipeline up. I mean, this is the type of script that just it's the gift that keeps on giving in terms of conversion. Now, I'll tell you something really important. Back in 2023, Tom Ferry and I, who's my business partner in a couple businesses, we got together in the summertime. And this was, if you guys remember in 23, like Sam, describe the market in 23. Like, how would you describe?
Insane.
It was like,
Insane.
You know what's crazy about the market in 23? Which was this, is that we have already had a housing crash. Everyone keeps talking about the housing crash. We already had a housing crash. But it wasn't on prices, it was on transactions.
Yep.
The market went from 6.2 million transactions down to about 4 million transactions in about 12 to 14 months.
That's right.
So 23, I called up Tom Ferry on like July 23. I said, Tom, listen, I said, I can't predict the market, but what I can tell you right now is that Q4 of 23 is going to be the worst quarter that we have seen in the last 15 years. So if we can do anything at this point, if we can put together a plan to help agents become successful, right, during this time, like control what they can control, I think this will be a really useful project. So we developed something called the 100K and 100-day program.
Oh, I remember that.
Right? It was the largest listing attraction experiment in history. We had over 2,000 agents participate in the program. And all I did was put together effectively 9 weeks of strategy. Just do this on day 1, do this on day 2. Okay? And what was interesting about that is that at the end of the experiment, we helped those agents secure $20 billion in listing agreements.
Wow.
Okay? Including one agent, by the way, Julie Woods. Shout out to my friend Julie Woods, amazing agent. She lives in like a small town in Texas where the average sales price is like $230,000. She ended up generating $270,000 in GCI over the course of that 100-day program.
Wow.
And the one lesson we had from the training, the coaching, the accountability was that if you have 11 conversations about selling real estate, you will get a listing. So not 11 leads, not 11 calls, not 11 outreach. No, 11 conversations equals 1 listing. And so as an agent who's listening to this right now, knowing that the market's going to go up, as Sam said, 14%, right? We have a lot of optimism. Your number one KPI, key performance indicator, should be what? The number of conversations I have every day. And listen, I don't care if it's texting, emailing, DMing on social, door knocking, cold calling.
These are all conversations, right?
They're all conversations, exactly. So 11 conversations equals 1 listing. So very simple math for you is, let's like in the chat right now, let us know how many listings do you want to take this year? Like, just let us know in the chat right now. How many listings?
Put it in the chat, guys and gals. Let's get that chat warmed up. jump in the chat. How many listings would you love to take next year? Thank you, Allie.
So Allie's got 10 to 20, 15. Okay.
Lori, I love
Amber's,
that number, Lori.
yeah, 12. Okay. Yeah. 15, 14. Cool. So,
Yep.
my advice, my unsolicited advice is just double whatever your prediction is. 'Cause I'm telling you right now, you can do it. I mean, if you can sell 10 homes, you can sell 20, you can sell 20, you can sell 40. I've seen it
Yes.
every day in
Amen.
real estate,
Amen.
right? But let's just do some really easy math. So Eileen's got a goal of doing 25 listings this year. So Eileen, what I want you to do, your KPI is take that 25 and then times that by 11. Okay?
Yep.
And then divide that by 52. So let's just do the math here real quick with this. So take that 25 times it by 11. Okay? That's going to be 275 conversations.
Yep.
275. And I'm not talking about, hey, Sam, how's it going? Like, I'm talking about real estate conversations.
Yeah, real back and forth kind of conversations about real estate.
Yep.
About real estate, right? Where you actually are qualifying. You are
Right.
understanding their needs. So that translates to about 5.2 conversations per week.
Per week. I want to highlight the
week.
per week, not per day, per week,
yeah,
right?
per week. So do us a favor, round up, call that 7, right? So if you want to, it just give us a little bit of a cushion. So if Eileen wants to get 25 listings this year, she's got to have 7 conversations per week. So everything that she should do in the morning, before she checks her email, before she logs on to social media, before she does her administrative work, her first few hours in the morning or or at the end of the day should be solely dedicated to having 7 conversations. I mean, the way I like to do it is I like to bookend it, which is I like to start my morning, try to get those conversations started. I like to end my day with those conversations. So you have that sort of momentum.
Yes.
But it is, and I would say I can do it. You 1,000% can do it. So let's build on this. Let me go back to share my screen. I'll give you a few more scripts to use.
And as you're opening that up, I mean, the way you and I communicate to each other is via Instagram. That's where we do a lot of that communication.
That's
me,
right.
you, and Jimmy Burgess, and so I think sometimes we get these blinders on, and we think that it's got to be cold calling and it's got to be door knocking, but it really can be anything. Facebook Messenger, Instagram DMs, wherever these are, wherever you can have these conversations.
Yeah, and as you were sharing all of your tips, I'm like, this is great content also for your social media content, because I think of everything from a social media lens. So it's not just picking up the phone, it's what you're posting on social and sending out in emails as well.
Oh, you're on mute, Jim.
Yeah. Christina, it's a great call out. And actually, let me just give you an example of this. So I don't know if I have the script ready for you, but I'm gonna give it to everybody, and I'll say it. I know I talk fast because I'm from Boston, but I'll give it to you slow this time, just so everyone's really clear on this. This was my 20% speed, just to be clear.
Well, if it's worth anything, we're used to Alan Dalton, okay? And so you can go for it.
Okay, thank you. So this idea of this is an important concept that, and I'm really glad you brought this up, Christina, a really important concept called land and expand. So it's a basic idea that if a marketing strategy works in one channel, a channel being email, social, DM, right, it can work in other channels. So one of the scripts that I love is this idea of get an appointment before you do the work. So let's say I am going to circle prospects around a recent sale, okay? And I'm going to use one of my guy Jimmy Burgess' scripts where I'm just going to be calling about a recent sale to authentic neighbors, and I'm going to basically see if they have any interest in maybe putting their house to the market. So I know that morning I'm going to dial 250 people, okay, that don't currently have their home on the market, otherwise known as an off-market deal.
Right.
And so I know I'm going to do that. So I might actually send out a text to 30, 50 people in my database. Hey, Christina, the reason I'm reaching out is I'm going to be calling around my recent sale at 123 Main Street to see if anybody else is thinking about putting their house on the market. If I come across any good off-market deals, should I let you know about it?
I love
And
this.
Me too.
so before I do the work, I'm already going to get a now. By the way, if I do that the first hour, I send that text out. Hey, Christina, I know this is going to come out of the blue, but I'm reaching out because I just recently sold 123 Main Street, and I'm going to call around the neighborhood to see if anyone else is thinking about selling. If I come across any good off-market deals, should I let you know? Okay, I'm going to do that text. I might get 3 or 4 responses. Oh yeah, absolutely, great. I'll keep you posted. When I call, I'm now going to call, hey, Christina, I know you weren't expecting this call, but I wanted to give you a call about the home that just sold down the street at 123 Main Street. Has anybody given you a call to give you the details? They're going to say, of course, no. Would it be helpful if I gave you some information you wouldn't be able to find online? Yeah, sure. Okay. Now I can go back as we're talking about the details. I can go back and say, yeah, I just actually connected with a consumer who's actually interested in your neighborhood from earlier this morning, right?
Yes.
And then you could use my favorite call to action, which is the Jimmy Burgess line, which is I'd be the world's worst realtor if I didn't ask. Would you would you consider selling if you got a great offer?
Yeah.
So I might even, if I'm going to have a call to action with a cold prospect, just a quick coaching on this, I'm going to be like, we use this phrase, destroy the objection.
Yes.
So if I'm talking to a cold prospect, they don't know who I am, they don't know what I do, they don't know why, like what I've done, there's no credibility built in yet. I might say, hey, I know we just met, I know we're just talking for the very first time, but I would be the world's worst realtor if I didn't ask. Would you consider selling a house if you got a great offer? Now, the important part of that is I destroy the objection up front, and then I follow up with an easy to answer question that is a very small step. I'm not asking, would you sell your house? I'm asking a hypothetical, hey, would you sell your house if you got a great offer? And so if you think about the call to action or that kind of like that question that everyone struggles with, I wrote a couple of notes down for hypotheticals are a really powerful tool. So would you if you could, right? If I could do this, would you do this? Like a simple hypothetical is a great way to lower the friction. Number 2 is the either or. Either or being, if you're thinking about selling, is it going to be, does the market have to, does the interest rates have to drop, or do home prices have to change, right? Just give them an easy answer, one or the other. Low commitment for me is what we just did with Jimmy Burgess, which is this idea of like destroy the objection. Hey, listen, I'd be the world's worst realtor. Hey, I'd be terrible at my job. Hey, I would get fired if my boss found out I didn't ask this question. Have some levity with it. The other thing I'd add towards like calls to action is like lower the cognitive load. If you ask really hard questions or complex questions, right? Like the brain begins to shut down. They gotta process that, let me give you an example, like a classic example in business about this. Probably the most profitable sales question in the history of business. I mean, I would say it's not even debatable. And that is when you would order food at McDonald's, they didn't ask you, would you like us to give you a large drink, a large fries, and more chicken nuggets? They say, would you like to supersize?
Supersize.
Right? I mean,
Yes.
it's been a minute since I've been to McDonald's. Okay, I think they probably still ask that question.
Yeah.
But if you think about, I remember I'm a '90s kid, right? I just turned 40, so I grew up in the '90s. And we ate. I have 5 brothers and sisters living in New Hampshire. We ate a lot of McDonald's, right? It was like a one fast food restaurant, and it's would you like to supersize it? So that's an example of you're making a lot of decisions, but you simplify it or package it in one simple question.
Yes.
You guys with me on this? Like,
Yes.
That's how you reduce the cognitive load. So that's why I think asking questions like, hey, like, are you interested in selling your house? Or are you open to selling your house? Well, you then have to say, well, where am I going to move to? And what about, like, do I have to fix the house before I sell it? And, how much will I actually get for it? That's a lot of pressure on the consumer just to keep that conversation going.
Yeah.
So all of that is to say that second script I just gave you is get results before you do the work.
Yes.
Bring those things together. Okay. So, by the way, I love it. I lean the chat. And by the way, just this is what streamers do. By the way, if this is helpful right now, if you're getting value from today's session, if this is kind of helping inspire you to kind of demystify lead conversion, just put a W in the chat. We want to make sure that we're providing as much value as possible.
Yeah.
So put a W in the chat. If this is helpful.
W in the
if you
chat.
can use these scripts.
W in the chat
streamers
right
do
now.
that.
Come on, guys.
Thanks, Deborah.
Oh, look at that.
Eileen.
Okay. I love it.
Amazing.
Right on. All right.
Okay.
Awesome. Very
So
cool.
let's go over number three. Something that you can use right now. Like this is like, I had a client get 11 appointments from this campaign. So this is a client who sent this out, who got 11 appointments from this one email. And this is probably one of my favorite emails that you can send out literally in the next hour. I wouldn't even overthink it. So let me give you an example of this. Bear with
In
me
the
one
next
second to pull
hour.
this up.
So everybody get your pencils ready, screenshots in the next hour. So
Yep.
when we finish this, I expect you all to just take it on. Go for it.
Just hit it and go. And I think what's really powerful about this campaign, as I pull it up here, is what's really powerful about this campaign is that this kind of combines a lot of the concepts that we talk about, which is this idea of like how do you ask, like you have to be creative with asking consumers if they want to sell their house.
Yes.
Because if you just hit them with, hey, you thinking about selling? Hey, now's the better time to sell. The problem is those messages become noise,
That's right.
right? If every other agent sends the same message, it becomes noise. So this is called your maybe price, and you can send this as a email campaign, and you can also send it as a text message. But you can see here, subject line, your quote maybe price. And you'd see like in email marketing, whether you're doing through Gmail or you're using an email marketing provider like a MailChimp or our new one called Better Email, I'd be a terrible agent if I didn't ask. That's the Burgess line. and then this is the email. Is there a number? And by the way, notice I didn't say, hey Christina, just get right to the point. Is there a number, even if you're not planning on selling, destroy the objection, you'd pause for a second and think, maybe I'd consider it. Just curious where your head's at.
I love that. Rather than trying to, because so many agents try to avoid the maybes. What they want is, yes, I want, come over, Sam. In fact, it's so crazy that you're sending this to me right now. So come right now and I will list with you today. And that just doesn't happen, right?
Correct.
And so,
it's 11 conversations.
Inviting the maybe is actually brilliant.
Yeah. And we want to, again, this goes back to this idea, make the first step a small step. And so, maybes, you usually have a maybe before you have a yes. And I know that in sales is the old sales trope, which is, the worst thing what's worse than a no is a maybe. I don't agree with that. I think all of us go through this decision-making process where we evaluate things.
Yes.
We're not buying tomatoes at the grocery store. We're deciding on selling our most, I was at a conference actually. And so I was sitting there at this conference. You guys can take a screenshot of this email. By the way, this could be an email. It could be a text. If you want to get results right now, I would text this. I would text this to 25 of my clients I haven't talked to in a little while. Text this. And by the way, let the team know your results on this. But if you're Eileen on today's call, hey, Eileen, I'm going to help you get the 7 conversations in the next, 1 hour. I'm going to help you hit this week's goal in the next 1 hour. So text that. I was at a conference. I was on a panel with an executive. This is probably about 5 years ago, and an executive from Open Door. And Open Door, to me, is this incredibly impressive company that has done an extraordinary job on marketing, but they also happen to lose a lot of money. And so from a marketing perspective, I think we can learn a lot. From a business perspective, I think it's a terrible business model.
Right.
So, but I was sitting there, and by the way, I just also believe that people should work with people, not sell on a website, to be clear. But I was sitting there, and the executive was basically saying, we want to make selling your home as easy as selling, going to the grocery store and checking out. And I had to remind the entire audience that when you know when you decide to sell your house, you're not buying a box of cereal,
That's
right?
right.
Which is a low stakes two-way door,
That's
meaning
right.
that if I don't like that version of Cheerios, you know what I can do? I can walk on down to Whole Foods. I can go get myself another brand, right? My total cost is $3. Jeff Bezos calls this a two-way door, right?
Yep.
You can't after you decide to sell your house, you can't really go back and buy it again
Nope. Can't
without a
return it
lot of.
either.
You can't return it. You can't buy it again. I mean, like you can. It's just really, really expensive.
Yes.
We call that a one-way door. And when you have a one-way door, you want to, as a consumer, get all the information. It's not about convenience as
Right.
much as it is about trust and confidence. And this is an
I like that.
important. This is a reason why these iBuying companies. Just to be on my soapbox for a second here, guys. This is the reason why these iBuy companies have never broken, even the fact when we were in that sort of zero interest rate environment, where effectively they never got really above 2 or 3% market share. And still today, I saw data on this recently that we have now hit an all-time high of consumers hiring a real estate agent because convenience matters, but it's secondary to trust and confidence. Yes, I don't want to be an inconvenient pain in the ass and hassle, right? I don't want that to be the case, but I just want to make sure I'm making the right decision, especially if you're selling to the silver tsunami.
That's
Silver
right.
tsunami is people over the age of 60. These
Yes.
individuals are more concerned about losing out than they are about winning. They're much more concerned about making a wrong decision than they are about like capitalizing on like the last little bit of gain. So I just want you to be. That's why I think these maybe conversations. I'll land the plane here. This is why I think these maybe conversations are actually a good thing, not a bad thing, because that allows you to build trust. That allows you to build confidence in the process. So that's a great example of that, guys.
Maybes can always lead to a yes, right? And so invite them in, spark them. It's the first step. I love it.
Me too.
Let's end with this. You saw the news that interest rate hit 5.99% on Friday. I mean, the champagne was pumping in every Facebook group I'm in right now. I mean, it was an exciting day. I actually did the research on this, so I used a combination of like Perplexity, Google, obviously Chat, Claude to do research on the real estate market. I actually looked back at every single major organization that predicts interest rates. Okay. And what you found across the board is that 95%, 99% of them predicted that we would be at 6.25% to 6.5% by the end of the year. Nobody predicted by January 11th, or in this case, it was probably January 9th last week, we would be at 5.99%. 5.99% is not only important because it has a 5 in front of it, it's important because it's a psychological cliff. Bankrate put out a study on this where Bankrate found that would-be sellers are 7 times more likely to sell when their interest rate starts to 5 than a 6. And so just going from 6.01% to 5.99% isn't just a drop of 0.02%. It's actually a 7x increase in the likelihood of would-be sellers. So all that locked-in inventory that we've seen over 23 and 24, it begins to thaw quite significantly when interest rates start having a 5 in front of them, especially with buy downs, especially with other ARM options. So the reason I bring this up is because you need to be ready to act when the market hands you a gift. The market comes back and says, hey, you know what? Interest rates are now 5.99%. You have got to be ready to act. Remember how we started today's conversation off, which is the agent who controls the narrative, right? Controls the market. We have to control that narrative. This is a script that you could use, and I'll pull this up right now. My client used this on Friday. They booked like 4 appointments, literally in like 2 hours. Not conversations. They booked appointments. Hey, Christina, just got off the phone with my lender. And I love that. Like, this is a example of the why now.
Yeah.
So when I went back to the beginning, remember, bring something new, raise the stakes, make the first step a small step. The raise the stakes is I just got, this thing just happened. This thing is about to happen. This thing is going to happen, right? I just got off the phone with my lender. This thing just happened. Rates just dropped to 5.99%. I knew you'd appreciate this update. this is one of my favorite people to follow on social media, Vanessa Van Edwards.
Yes.
She uses scripting and language to improve your likability.
Amazing.
She's amazing. You should see her TED Talk. I knew you'd appreciate this update. It's like, hey, I was thinking about you. Hey, the last time you talked, you mentioned this. Hey, I knew you'd appreciate this. How are you feeling about the market right now? And this, again, is an easy to answer, low stakes question that just starts a conversation. So what I would say is, you can actually use a script today. Even though interest rates, I think on Mortgage News Daily, it's pulled up right now on Mortgage News Daily, are probably at 6%, 6.7%, or 6.07%.
Yep.
So closing on
6.
Yeah, just a hair above 6. I say, hey, just got my phone with my lender. Rates dropped to 5.99% on Friday. They're back up just over 6, but I knew you'd appreciate this update. How are you feeling about the market? So even if you missed that sort of 24-hour window, you could still reference back. Remember what I said earlier? How do you create great scripts? Stats and stories. Stats and stories. So I want to leave you with this, which is, as we go into the new year, set a conversion goal, right? How many listings do you want to take on? Be absolutely clear about that. Times that by 11, divide that by 52. Let's say you work 47 weeks a year. Divide that by 47, okay? Add in a little bit of cushion. That's your daily conversation goal. Then I want you to become focused on just controlling the narrative. Whoever controls the narrative controls the market. Use some of the tools, use some of the scripts that we covered today to help you improve your outreach, because sales isn't about trying to convince someone. It's about helping remove the friction and then making a decision. And if you just understand that basic principle, then you can avoid the worst words in sales that no one should ever use under any circumstance. And I consider this my only rule, which is I never want you to follow up by saying, hey, Christina, I'm just following up. Hey, Christina, I'm just checking in. These are words I want to ban from your vocabulary so we can make way for things that actually work.
So good. I mean, for me, the takeaway here was make the first step a small one.
Yep.
Just something so insignificant. And that could be that maybe, right? That is so great.
I know I'm more likely to say a maybe. I like to be a yes or a no person, but having the option for a maybe, I will say that every time over no if I can. So I love that.
You know, I always think about these conversations like dating. When I was chasing my now wife, she gave me a maybe. And 25 years later, we're still happily married because she told me maybe. And I took that as an opportunity, right?
Yep, that's right. That's right. That's it. I think that's the type of scenario where it is. Yeah, this is a full contact sport in real estate. I mean, you're going to get lots of rejection. There's no question about it. But if you have this approach, like I think there's a belief that I see really good agents have. There's a belief that I see it's a great line, which is it's the stories that we tell ourselves, and the stories that we tell ourselves are really important stories. And I think the story that you should start telling yourself is this: is I'm a really good real estate agent. I work really hard. I take care of my clients. The people I'm reaching out to are better off working with me than someone who doesn't feel the same way or hold myself to the high standards. And so that belief is, it comes through in your communication. It comes through in your outreach. It comes through in the way that you actually help people make decisions. So I just think that's a great mindset, which is not about dialing for dollars. It's not 10 days of pain. I've never believed in that methodology. It really is about realizing that if you are a great real estate agent, you take care of your customers and you care deeply and you put their interests above your own interests, then you should believe that reaching out to them is actually in their best interest because you know that you're going to help them. And I think that can take some of the I would call it the stigma around sales off of the conversations.
Yeah, the anxiety around it, because at the end of the day, the reason that we fear these things is because we're trying to protect our own feelings around that, our own anxiety around feeling rejected and in that way. And so I think that's spot on, Jimmy. Always spot on. So tell them about Listing Leads, because I want everybody on this call to subscribe to Listing Leads, because it has literally hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of go-to scripts that you can go to, scrape, kind of cut and paste, alter it to whatever's happening right now. Because I don't know about all of you that are on the call right now. I know that I should be doing something every day. I know I should be, making these calls. I know, but then my every day is happening. And I'm in the middle of challenging transactions. I just got off a rough call with my seller who's a little bit frustrated, especially in today's environment. And the last thing I need to do is sit down and think, okay, well, what am I going to say? Well, if you had a resource that you could just go and not even really have to think that long and hard about it, and you can read through and helps you. I actually think, Jimmy, it helps you with a mindset shift. That's what it does for me when I go in there and I look at it and I'm like, oh, that's right. It's like inspiring while simultaneously telling me exactly what to do.
Well, thank you very much for the kind words. I think we built Listing Leads because we found the hardest thing about marketing was knowing what to say and what to do. Not from a strategy perspective. I think we all kind of understand the strategy, but it's actually like, hey, you should do this Monday. You should do this Tuesday. So the best way to think about Listing Leads is effectively you're hiring me to be your chief marketing officer and your chief sales officer. So I'm going to create all the marketing. And by saying I mean me, myself, which are very much involved, and my team behind me are going to create your marketing for that week. And then what we do, which is really powerful, is we actually have a call every Monday at 2 p.m. called the Campaign Kickoff Call, where we actually review that week's plan with you on a group webinar. So we have hundreds and hundreds of our customers. We now have 5,000 agents who are part of the Listing Leads community. It's the fastest growing, I think, membership site in real estate history. We've been very lucky and very blessed to have amazing people in the community. We want to make sure that you don't get overloaded with what to do. And so if you look back at the last 7 days and you're like, if I want to evaluate my marketing from the beginning of the year to today, if I feel like, you know what, I think I would do more marketing if I had help. I would do more marketing if I had coaching. I would do more marketing if I had someone creating the scripts for me. Then if you believe that, then the first step is a small step, which is you go to listingleads.com, you sign up, and just make sure, because we have a special partnership with our friends over Home Services, make sure that you use the coupon code QUICKWINS when you sign up, because you'll get 50% off your first month. Month to month, use it for as long as you want to use it. I think you're going to love it. And I really appreciate you guys giving me the opportunity to share that insight.
Well, it is great. And, when you're having that moment of, I need to make some calls, or I need to generate some business, or even when you're flush with business, but you know that you're just trying to keep that flow going. Mm-hmm. And if you had a business partner that you can just turn to and they say, hey, get on the phone, say this. Mm-hmm. That's what Jimmy Mackin is, and that's what Listing Leads is. And so go on to listingleads.com, add in that discount code QUICKWINS. You'll get 50% off your first month. It is worth its weight in gold. I promise you, guys and gals. And Jimmy, thanks again for all that you do. Thanks for being on our national call. Thanks for coming and talking to our small but mighty SoCal audience. Yeah. We love you, man.
Yes, thank
you. I love it, guys. Great seeing you both. Be well.
All right, be well. Good stuff, huh?
That was great. Yeah.
I mean, every time I'm on a call with him or I'm in a meeting with him, I walk away feeling like just more empowered because, and it's not even like it's motivational talk. Mm-hmm. It is do this, not that. Do this, not that, right? And a lot of times that's all we really need, right?
He breaks it down very easily for you to understand and follow the why of what you're sending and how to connect with your clients. So I thought that was great. And I learned a lot, like I said, from a social media and content perspective.
Yes.
Sometimes those reminders are all you need to kind of get you going.
Just
so,
keep it
yeah.
going. All right.
And I love the reviews that we've been getting. Someone said best show yet, so let's keep it going this year.
Let's keep it going. Let's keep it going. All right. Well, thank you guys so much for tuning in today. We really do appreciate it. And so tune in next week. We're live again next week,
yes,
right?
We are.
And we have, what do we've got going on next week? I'm already losing my mind here.
We're doing what to say when disaster strikes.
Oh, that's
yes.
right. That's right. So, we just celebrated not celebrated, but we remembered the unfortunate tragedies that happened a year ago, both in Los Angeles, the two regions in Los Angeles. And so the session that we're going to have there is in remembering that. But more importantly, we're going to learn from a few agents that just through instinct took action and began serving the community. And so this gives us an opportunity to then create some templates and some plans should disaster strike in your particular area, or something happens, or even just mini disasters that happen in small little neighborhoods. What can you do as a member of that community to just start taking action, right?
Yeah, I think that's going to be a great episode.
It is going to be a great episode, so tune in. Otherwise, thank you guys and gals. Thank you so much for being here. And we'll see you next week, all right?